On the southeast coast of the southern quadrant, the Frattaka rainforest stretches across 4 countries, owing its existence to the heavy rainfall and warm temperatures of the region. Each of these 4 orc-led countries boasts its own unique culture and history, but they all share the dangers of the Frattaka. While deforestation has threatened some of the local wildlife, the rainforest's position above the southeast ley line makes the wildlife particularly magical and particularly dangerous. While the average tourist might expect a large jungle cat or an ape or hippo to be the most frequent animal-related fatality in this region, the actual scourge of the rainforest is a suite of colorful and very territorial Frattaka frogs. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Crystal Cast of Blackroot Archival, a visual recollection of antiques, artifacts, and curiosities that will fascinate and intrigue. I'm your curator, Noah Blackroot, and today I'll be giving you a public service announcement, maybe the first ever to be done over Crystal Ball, about the venomous Frattaka frogs. So, if you find this information helpful, you could give my show a little love, or visit my museum, Blackroot Archival in Seabridge, to see physical displays of these frogs yourself. Now, the statistic I gave earlier, while accurate in its tone, is technically false. The actual most frequent animal-related fatality in and around the Frattaka region are a lot less glamorous in nature. Diseases spread by insects and vermin account for the top 4, with the frogs clocking in at a disappointing 5 through 10, yet still ahead of weak animals like the manticore and the Goliath griffin. I'm kidding. They are above those animals, but all jokes aside, the frequency with which people come into contact with those large, physically imposing animals are proportional to their lowered position on this threat list. Sightings of animals of that stature are just exceedingly rare, and most are reported by teams of explorers that have the strength and skill and spells to overcome or at the very least escape them. So people who live in this tropical region hold a much more present rivalry with the common, albeit seasonal, venomous Frattaka frog. In these countries, healing magic, as well as the traditional supplies needed for antivenoms, are a lot more rare. A little less so within the capitals, the city centers, where the fatality rate is definitely lower. But regardless of where you live in these countries, sandwiched between the sea and the Frattaka, these frogs will be a nuisance. So, enough build-up. Let me take you through a list of the 5 known variants of Frattaka frog in order from least to most dangerous, so that you can avoid a nasty run-in with these lethal amphibians. And if you have a strong liver or feel like partying today, take a swig of ale every time I say Frattaka. The 5th most dangerous on our list is the Frattaka pomegranate. This hefty, ruby-colored specimen appears across all 4 countries that contain the Frattaka, and typically avoids areas with heavy orc activity. It's the biggest of the 5 with the roundest physique, and comes in a range of red, brown, and orange hues. Its limbs have a smoky dark brown coloration, and its back tends to feature these concentric markings of warm colors. It headbutts whatever it feels threatened by and stabs it with these short spines that grow from its forehead, and those spines apply its venom. The pomegranate lives and hunts by tucking itself into moist, low places, and its venom is fatal if left untreated, though it typically takes days to adversely affect any animal as big as a person. However, this does happen on occasion to various cattle and swine that call the Frattaka home, creating these mini ecosystems where other scavengers that are fast or wise enough to avoid the pomegranate feast on the carcass of the bigger animal, while the frog stays still and just enjoys the natural smorgasbord of insects attracted by the carrion. In North Violarca, one of the orcish countries at play when discussing these frogs, we find the 4th most dangerous threat, with a quality unique within this list. The Frattaka herbivornis, named as such for being herbivores, survive solely on the local plant life. They use spines on their jaws to help them pierce the thick skin of the plant's fruit. And unfortunately for us and the local wildlife, due to those aforementioned spines secreting a poisonous chemical, they tend to leave a deadly surprise behind on any fruits they eat. Animals, including people that eat the fruits contaminated by the herbivornis, get ill within minutes and become easy prey for predators or the harsh Violarcan heat. They are vibrant violet and pink frogs with bright green limbs and eyes. They're difficult to spot, ironically, amid the similarly vibrant fruits of the Frattaka, and even more difficult to catch, owing their near super speed to a natural magic that they've inherited from millennia of evolution atop the southeast ley line. In Amduwa, a country saddled almost entirely within the Frattaka, we find the next two entries on our list: the Frattaka Montagunan and the Frattaka Capuletta, named of course after the family names of the two stagecoach robbing partners in crime in Thomas Tomley's world-famous epic Over the Sound of the Northern Drums We Ride, one of my favorite plays of all time. But this is not the episode where I get to be self-indulgent and talk about theater for 15 minutes. After last episode, I will spare you. The Frattaka Montagunan comes in various gray colors and powder blue, making its round body look kind of like a generic stone that you would find on the forest floor. Its croak is repetitive and obnoxious, which probably single-handedly lowers it on the fatality list by quite a bit, as approaching people generally know that there's one around and that they should keep their eyes peeled. On the other hand, the Frattaka Capuletta is more of a specter for the orc tribes of Amduwa. They're quiet and fast and tend to avoid people. Their croak is subtle and sounds more like the creaking of a tree than the cry of an actual creature. They are a lot easier to spot, sporting blood-red lines down their back and limbs, despite typically being the same blue and grays that the Montagunan comes in. Both of these frogs secrete a venom from their skin that, while not always fatal, causes temporary paralysis of the affected body part. And if the venom touches your head or torso, can quickly lead to organ failure or death if not addressed. Orcs typically have thicker skin than the other races and survive encounters more often with these two amphibious Grim Reapers, but to non-orcs, the venomous residue left behind by these two are nothing to take lightly. The fifth and final fatal frog we're focusing on for now is the Frattaka Fuji. This is the iconic pest of the Frattaka, the storied animal with the most kills under its belt every single year. Their bodies come in a myriad of crazy patterns and textures, mostly dots of yellow and orange that gradate into each other in these weird spotty patterns, causing them to really stand out amid the trees and the brushes of the Frattaka. The Fuji does not kill on purpose, nor does it have any kind of venom sac or gland that assists in its survival or surviving predators. I mentioned earlier that the Frattaka sits atop the southeast ley line, one of the many channels of magical energy that wind underneath Vexaea's surface. Centuries of research have been done attempting to chart the ley lines, measuring magical resonance, natural phenomena that have magical origins all across the world. But the Frattaka serves as a visual and tangible signpost for where that magic is its strongest. Within proximity to one of these ley lines, magic becomes stronger, albeit more chaotic. And creatures, including people, have been known to develop hereditary proclivities to certain magical functions, which controversially leads some people to migrate towards areas with expected ley line adjacency to attempt to make themselves, their family, or their children more magically adept. But it really is a roll of the die because natural disasters and magical calamities are a lot more common in these regions. The Frattaka Fuji is not a species that has settled into any kind of magical groove. Rather, something about its biology, its magical evolutionary traits, or something causes it to coat its body, seemingly at random, with offensive spells when threatened. When a chorus of Fujis feel threatened by the presence of people, they lash out with their tongues, they hop around, they make noise. They attempt to scare off would-be predators, but in doing so they set off these bursts of lightning, ice, flames, cutting winds, acid, a plethora of various temporary magical effects that a person without any proper magical resistance would find difficult to defend against at all. Completely ignoring the fatal effects of the aforementioned forces, their day-to-day activities often just disturb ecosystems and cause unprecedented domino effects within the volatile and violent biomes in the Frattaka. There's not really much advice I can give about combating the Frattaka Fuji. Tip number one would be to stay away from the heart of the rainforest. If you see anything weird in the brush like smoke, ice, flames, lightning, or even never before seen magical effects, run the other way. If a Frattaka Fuji feels threatened, it won't chase you, but if you antagonize one or get too close to it or its younglings, is that what they call them? I don't know. You'll find yourself on the receiving end of an unpredictable and dangerous magic. Fortunately, most people listening to this probably will never have to, because they won't visit the Frattaka or even the countries I mentioned in this episode. When I travel the eastern seafront, I do visit them, though I keep to the cities and I prepare anti-venom as best I can, just in case I come across one of these scary frogs. Yuma, the capital of North Vialarca and the biggest port town in the southeast, is a rapidly growing city. It attracts collectors and historians a couple times a year for auctions and its own ridiculously beautiful museums. The Palazzo of Vialarcan history is a monument to Frattakan life overall, the home of multiple seminal art pieces and cultural artifacts, all housed in a world-famous tropical hotel and resort. North Vialarca does have the luxury of the easiest land route around the Frattaka of these four countries, and holds easy access to eastern trade routes via Yuma's well-developed port. That, however, is going to do it for today. Thank you so much for listening to my warning. May you or your loved ones never have to worry about venomous frogs in your homes or communities. But if you want to help out, you can send financial support to the FSO, which is the Frattakan Survivalist Organization. They have been making progress, leading the charge to lower fatalities by venomous animals in the region for quite a while now, and they've been saving dozens of lives every year for the past decade. The Gilead Owlery has a trusted partnership with them, so if you want to give, you can address your support to FSO at 330 Tristan Drive, Yuma, North Vialarca. And while I can't guarantee anything about the Frattaka Fuji, hopefully with their hard work, in a decade or so, none of those other four frogs will be on this list. This has been Noah of Blackroot Archival. Thank you for watching, and stick around for more next week.